So just a reminder about the mute button. If you're not talking, just to put yourself on mute, as it just helps with these coming through and being able to hear clearly. If you're not button, just let me know. So I might start off with is talking a little bit about the leadership program. So I'm assuming everybody attended the introduction session. Can someone, if you haven't attended, could you just let me know? You again, what was it? Sure, okay, great. Okay, fab. Is there anybody else that didn't attend the intro? Because I'll make time for you to. Yes?
Bond?
Louise, okay. Okay, great. Cheryl, Louise, Deb. If there's anybody else that hasn't on the intro, just get hold of me and we can make a time to all get together and just go through that as well. Do a little bit of a recap of the last session. We're going to talk about patience in this, and we're going to do a big piece on mindfulness training and engaging, so energy and managing that energy as well for us. What we looked at in the intro was the 2 rules of the mental effectiveness. Who wants to talk about that a little? What about? Prioritizing, brilliant. Yes. Yes. So it's great. We had an example of if you're typing away on an email and you're hearing people in the office talking, you want to be distracted and start engaging in the holiday conversation and so forth. But no, I'm focusing on my email. But then your boss might come along and go, where is that project, red in the face? And you're going, no, so I'm going to ignore you right now and I'm just going to focus on my emails. So again, choosing wisely what you engage with and not, to really create that awareness. That awareness piece is the tool for this as well. Thanks for them. The matrix of mental effectiveness. So this will actually come in the mail for you. So we have, on top, we have a sharp focus and then distracted, and then on the right, openly aware and autopilot. In the first, we have flow, mindful in the second, mindless in the third, and creative in the fourth. So if you were focusing on your email, were fully engaged and focusing on your email while you knew the conversations were happening around you around the holiday, where would you be in that quadrant? I think you would be in that quadrant if you were focusing on your emails. Mindful. Yeah. Now? Does it
I mean, that's probably so mindless free because you kind of get distracted by what's going on around you.
Yep. So sometimes if you're completely distracted and you're getting distracted by the holiday and everything else, then yeah, it is sitting in mindless. Can you do that activity while still remaining mindful? So this is the practice piece for all of you, is noticing where are you in that quadrant? Where is it that you would like to be in that quadrant? And where is it that you automatically go in that quadrant? So needing to create awareness, and through that awareness is that choice bit. So the awareness equals choice. With awareness, we always go into that automatic behavior. Now, some of us have trained that automatic behavior to be quite mindful and to be focused on that report, but sometimes bad habits creep in. We have mindful focus training. So the ABCD that I went through, the other day. So with the A, you're focusing on how you're holding your body, so the anatomy, so you want it to be relaxed. When you're breathing in and out, but you're also counting your breath, which is the key to keep you focused. It's like you're counting your breath as you breathe in and you breathe out, 1, breathe in, breathe out, 2. And then also noticing the distractions. So noticing the sounds around you, noticing your own internal chatter, and so forth. But we'll go through that in much more detail. We are holding, so this is different areas that we can go into when we're doing our mindfulness practice. You can hold on to it quite tightly. So can everybody see the way that I'm holding on to this pen? Mm-hmm. Either holding on to it really tightly, and if you do that all day, how do you think that's going to affect you? You're going to be really tired. And so holding it lightly and just the aim in your mindfulness practice is to be able to watch and observe it. If you're dropping it, that's the bit where you're getting distracted. So terms, you've got the lax land where you just end up dropping it and you fall asleep, or you're not staying that focused, so that's lax. Then you're getting distracted, which is the lots of distractions happening at the same time, your internal chatter. It could be that this practice is whatever's coming up for you, or it could be that you're holding it too tightly. So you've got 3 different areas that you could possibly go into your practice, and you will repeat it over and over again. Now, it's not just in your practice, but it's also in your activities. So when you're writing the email, you might be writing it and you're holding a lot of tension in your body. You might find you're writing your email and you're getting distracted by the conversations that are happening around you. Writing your email and you're like, what was I even writing? What was that pop-up? Okay. So it's that constant noticing where you are in that space. It's that awareness piece. Then going to move on patience. So when we talk about patience, is a moment of patience and a moment of anger saves you 1,000 moments of regret. So this video and might help give you an idea of what we're on about. Can you?
I don't have any visual, unfortunately, Sabina, today.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
You're doing a pretty dance or something and sing. I don't know, I say.
Just quickly explain that as well. So her lady was walking across the road and she was taking her time and walking across, and there was a car that just kept on beeping at her. She threw her handbag into the car and the airbag went out. So, and there were some people videoing it on a skateboard. And that was an example of patience. Has anybody ever been in that position or perhaps seen that in regards to patience? We talk about impatience. There's the brain, the cortex, which is where the intellectual part and logical thinking of the brain sits, limbic system, which the emotions and mood, and the reptilian brain, which is the fight, flight, or freeze. Now, some of you will be really familiar with this. If you think about impatience, where do you think that actually sparks from? Which area out of those 3 would it actually spark from? Limbic? Take it. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so we've got limbic or reptilian. Why do you think why it's reptilian?
Because you want to react without really thinking.
Yeah. Research shows that the actual spark of where it initiates from, and they're noticing that sometimes we'll actually move into the limbic system, but it's the reptilian that it actually really begins from. The question for you is, if in that space, so that we're in the fight or flight, and it's actually initiating from that, it's increased blood pressure, increased blood sugar, increased heart rate, high aggression, tunnel vision, and high stress. The tunnel vision is the piece that I find really interesting in this, in that when it begins to correlate with performance as well. I think that it really begins to affect, so it's not only your day, but your team as well, because some of you have come into this space wanting it to be for, to support a team. How do you think that actually begins to affect? Patience in yourself and in others as well. Heard of the amygdala hijack? Okay. So the amygdala, I'm sending you a video after this, and Dan Siegel explains it really well. He's got this great visual of his hand, basically your thumb being to the amygdala, and it going over, which is your prefrontal cortex part of the brain. Saying is, when you're in this being space, these two areas don't talk to each other. So actually not engaging. So what you need to do is when you have, can someone give me an example of a amygdala hijack, and perhaps so that your staff are working with on the ground level? You have an example of amygdala hijack.
I have an example of a client who read it all well,
yep,
and often gets just having an intellectual disability of some sort. So every time she has to go to a meeting, as soon as somebody puts papers in front of her, she has an instant reaction. So she instantly shuts down, stops talking, gets agitated, makes excuses for leaving the meeting, that kind of thing. Isn't able to be calmed down quickly or easily. It took us a little bit to realise that it was associated with papers, because she can actually read. So when we're one-on-one with her, she reads. And we hadn't automatically put it down to reading until we realised the connection every single time. She went to housing or anywhere that required her to have papers shoved in front of her.
Yeah, great. And what does the team do as a response to move this person from the amygdala hijack?
Started by explaining to her what was happening, and asking her to think about if there was a time when she didn't have that kind of reaction. And currently she's trying to breathe through it. It actually had more to do with authority figures making decisions for her than it did about the paperwork itself. It's just what it represented. So building her confidence in the area of being able to express what she needs and able to breathe rather than react to the paper.
Great.
So,
great. Thanks for sharing that. That's a perfect example. So the piece that's happened in that is the awareness. It's like explaining what's happening, also for herself or himself to be able to explain, what's going on. But it's also the questions that have been asked, or the process around it. So what you're wanting to do in this, when the amygdala hijack happens, is wanting those two areas to talk. The most simplest way is, there's lots of different reasons, but it's about actually mindful support those two areas talking. One, create awareness. Other is by just simply asking a question. So the question might be, what's my intent here? And it might just be as simple as that. It might be breathe in, breathe out. So really just giving yourself that connection piece. So when in it or not, you'll find that you do that automatically as well. So perhaps some of you might have been in a situation where that begins to take over that amygdala hijack. I'm thinking of an example that perhaps happened with me is when Dad died. And for me, it was, I found myself just pacing up and down. Then it was, okay, what do I need to do now? So I sort of create that awareness, and without doing it on purpose. It was asking myself to, okay, what needs to happen? So don't relate to that. So this here is, I say, it takes courage to actually sit in patience. Why does that? That's so.
I think because you just need to be brave enough to wait that little bit before you act on something.
Yeah. Yeah. So being able to just sit and notice, and knowing patience is arising. Connection piece is the patience and performance. Thinking about how this is going to affect your performance. So seeing, if you were to sit and be, can you hear?
Yeah, so we just dropped out. We've just dialed back in.
Oh, okay. It's, yeah, we'll see go with this one. If not, the recording, and I'll touch base with you afterwards.
Okay.
Noticing, creating patience and the connection that it has with performance as well. So how do you think affect your leadership or your team as well? So how be a product? Yeah.
How they're impatient as leaders, that doesn't give the people that we're working with the opportunity to think through the process for themselves, because we'll be patiently just trying to get to the end instead of thinking of how we got to the end of the process of doing that. So patience about what we think, not what can others get there.
Yeah. One single focus of this is what I need.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes it's difficult to actually be honest with yourself and go, actually, how often am I impatient? And we begin to tackle that, because that's what this week is about. So we talk about the work that we're covering in these sessions. It's about the work and the theory that we're covering in the sessions. It's about the work that happens outside. It's how we begin to integrate it into the outside world. That is the key piece. That's where the changes begin to happen. So we talked about this concept of theory. We actually stay and think about it. But what we want to do is then be able to integrate it and noticing how much patience or impatience we have throughout the day. So it could be with your family life. It could be with your work and your staff. It could even be with yourself. How patient are you with yourself? What is the the ripple effect of that? So being honest with yourself and noticing what that is, and then just giving yourselves some tasks for the week. So if you've got that pen and paper next to you still, just create a few accountability points for yourself. So what is it that you would like to work on this week in regards to patience? So we want to share it, but just have a moment for yourself and ask, do more patient firstly, and if I do, what to look like, and create awareness around that. To develop patience is whenever you encounter discomfort, do not run from it, do not fight it, and find patience to face it. He said that it's actually applying it and seeing how we go throughout the week. Yeah. And again, something that you share with your team. Well, notice these changes. spoken a lot about the work and the integrating piece outside of here. The bit that I haven't spoken about before we move on to the next piece, the Yammer account that we're creating. Have you all got an email about Yammer?
Yeah. Or
Okay.
No, it's not. Like LinkedIn.
oh, yeah, you're all on Yammer, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I'm not.
I'm not. I think.
No, not at all.
Okay. So you can have the email about Yammer and joining the mindfulness. If you could just let me know, and I'll get Jess to contact you all in regard to that. So the purpose of the Yammer account is to create a little bit of a community so that we can share mindfulness resources, we share ideas, but we can also, the key for me is to create this program and have this program empower and continue and integrate this once the program is over. So to happen, it's really about creating that community, creating that momentum, integrating these pieces throughout the week, and then beginning to see that ripple effect. Because we have a few people going to the program now, but then seeing the ripple that it creates outside. So if there's a couple of champions that would be happy to identify themselves, then what I mean by champions is really just a couple of people that would be happy to lead that space. So just to post a couple of things and say they've found, a few articles that are interesting and being able to post them, perhaps, supporting others along if maybe they're just needing, where's that article or what was that idea, or do you want, or maybe even setting up regular meditation sessions. Around that. Okay. Is there one that would be happy just to champions? Maybe about 3 would be ideal. Just load.
It's Vicky Daly from the Central Coast. I think I'd be happy to do that. I guess just have to think about what that means in terms of workload. With just spreading it through as a culture through the Central Coast and going to this training, then if it looks with my philosophy, so I'd be happy to take on board and maybe for the coast region. But I guess I don't want to fight too much.
Yeah, that's fine. What we'll do is we'll just start, and then if you think the workload is too much, then just have a chat to me about it. But it really is as little or as much as individuals want to put in. You might see an article once a month, or you might see an article, once a week, and you think, wow, this would be great. The team would be like this. It's around leadership and mindfulness. There's some really, good things coming through. So yeah, thank you, Vicky. Anyone else? Okay. Say that again?
Got a hand up, Kathy Washington.
Thanks, Kathy. Anybody else that's interested, just let me know, and we'll take it there. But if all of you could be part of Yammer, that would be great. And people who have done the previous program will also be on Yammer as well, so we can get those discussions happening, and perhaps even create a little bit of a mentor support network as well. Thank you. Right. Shall we go to the practice? So, bring the 3 core qualities in mindfulness. We've got the relaxation. I was to say to one of your clients, where in the body do you hold stress? Do you think that would be easy to answer for some? Is Cheryl?
Okay.
Yes, sorry. Margaret or Cheryl? Which one? Yeah. Do you want to just repeat that, Cheryl?
I think some of it would be easy if you're feeling churned up in the stomach or the shoulders. That might be an easy one, but there might be others that are easy to recognise.
Yeah, yeah. So some are easier to recognise than others. What is the piece that's missing? So if body is able to recognise where the hold tension, what is the piece that differentiates someone who's not able to notice?
Awareness.
Yeah, awareness. So awareness is our very first point of call to all of this. Awareness in our activities throughout the day, awareness into integrating this, our awareness in how we are sitting, noticing what's going on for us. So if I do relaxing your body, you would go, right, okay, I know what that means. It means dropping my shoulders, relaxing and releasing that. If I said to you that focus piece, it would be like, right, I'm focusing on this one point. At one point, and clarity as well. So the relaxation piece is the bit that we're going to begin with and really focus on that. So if I see you right now just physically relax and take some steps towards physically relaxing, we would go, yeah. But if it's to you right now, empty your mind, completely relax your mind, what you do, just relax.
Yeah, a whole bunch of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
To think about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the breathing, you have to breathe.
It's like, okay, relax. So what I want you to do is that we're going to approach it in a way that we are relaxing our body and trust that as a act, it will begin to relax your mind. So that's not your focus. Your focus is about relaxing your body and counting our breath. All right. I'll take that. So find a comfortable position. We're going to do a practice for about 10 minutes. I should bring it down to about 8. We're just running out of time. So just get comfortable in the chair.
Leave at 4:30 because I sort of finished at 4:30.
That's why you need to leave at 4:30? Yeah, fine. So we'll meditation and then, yeah, that's fine if you want to leave. Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you for letting me know that.
Same here, sorry.
That's okay.
Sabine.
Yep. Okay, brilliant. So if you could just leave early, that's fine, and just listen to the recording at the end. I'm going to go through the end module, but then we'll do focus training and we'll get an opportunity to practice that. So this practice tool is one that ideally we want to set up that we do 10 minutes every day, that we're going to support each other to be able to do that either by buddy system or by just scheduling it into your own diary and that up. But leave this and then I'll go through that when we're finished. So how you're sitting, have your eyes closed or open. And having your feet in contact with the ground. Release. So now I maybe need to drop my shoulders slightly. Back upright, not too slouched. Support yourself to be relaxed yet alert. You're happy facing up or down on your lap. So try out to your body crossed. Just a relaxation of your body. Just taking some time to notice your breathing. Breathing in and breathing out. Breath as it enters, the breath as it exits. Counting your breath. So as you're in, just scanning your body. As you out, just letting go and counting 1 as you breathe out. in, exhale, 2. Breathe in and breathing out, 3. So count from 1 to 10 and 10 down to 1. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in and breathe, staying focused on the breath as you breathe in and out. Remember, you'll move to all 3 areas. You'll either hold on really tightly to your breath, you'll start getting relaxed and forgetting about what it is that you're supposed to be doing, or you'll start distractions around you. It might be the noises around you, it might be the next thing that you've got to do. Just move and create awareness around those. So beginning to introduce patience and noticing and sitting. So not necessarily sitting, but just create awareness. And every time you use distraction, just come back. Breathe and breathing, counting. As soon as you're distracted, your breath, moving in and breathing out. Ready in your body, your abdomen, your chest. And breathing out. Your body rocks. Yeah. Count from 1 to 10 and 10 to 1. Cycle of your breath, in and moving. And now I want you to take 3 deeper breaths you do that, breathing in and allowing your shoulders to just rise to your ears, holding it there, and then releasing. Doing times, just create a little bit more movement in your body. Breathe in and breathe. And then just open your eyes, and I'm going to unmute you all. Hello. Hey. How was that?
Good.
I just want to cover one thing off because I know I've got 5 minutes before you people have to leave, and I'm going to just get a little bit of feedback as to how that session was, and we can work with it. But one thing that I'd like to do is create a little bit of a buddy system. So identifying perhaps somebody in the email list that you think you work to, or perhaps has a similar style of working as you, and just being able to work as buddies together. And when I say work as buddies, it's along the lines of being able to support each other. So saying, how did you go with the mindfulness training? Or it might be, how did you go with the patience piece, so that you were working on this with your team? How did that go? So really being as challenging or as not as challenging as a team or you would like. So when choosing your buddy, it's keeping that in mind as to how far you want to be actually taking this training. So I will ask is, if by the close of business, you could send me an email of who your buddy is. So you'd like to give them a call and have a chat and agree that you're both going to be each other's buddies. And then by the close of business, let me know. If there is nobody buddied with someone, then I will allocate the two buddies together just to be able to support each other. Is everyone okay with that? Brilliant. So what we might do is just to have a quick go around, because I'd be keen to know if you were looking for, what is it that you're looking for in a buddy? So just maybe 2 or 3 words of, I really want a buddy that is going to challenge me and be able to work quite well with me and my team. Someone who I can, someone who is maybe I can just practice with, who's in the same room as me. So just going around quickly as to maybe 2 or 3 words of what you would ideally design a buddy that would work with you. That way you can perhaps identify out of this conversation who I'd ask. To start.
Sabina, we were thinking on the coast, well, no, Cheryl, you're at Wyong at the moment, but on the Central Coast, so there's in Gloucester, there's 4 of us, so we thought that we could support each other.
Right. Okay. Yeah, if you could just send me an email with those names and just let me know that you've all been buddied up, that would be great. Thank you. Do you say you had to go?
Yeah.
I have to as well.
Okay. Great. All right. Thanks for coming. I'll see you next week.
I have to go too. That's Diane.
That's fine. So just let me know in an email as well who your buddy will be. Thank you. Okay, Fab. Who's next? Walk out of a buddy. Maybe not. So just Katie, perhaps? Yeah.
Hi, probably just someone that's going to keep me on track.
Yes. Okay. All right, someone who's going to keep you on track. Right. Great. Anyone else?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'd say someone who's a little bit bossy in terms of if they see me, go off because I'm not great on staying on track.
Great.
Yes.
Thanks for so honest with that. Brilliant. Because this is where the work is really going to happen. So that buddying system and also the work that you do outside. So fabulous. Thank you. Who else? So who? I think she's trying to say something to us.
Can't read what she's saying.
No.
It says help me unpack ideas.
Great. Thank you for reading that. So she really wants someone to help her unpack ideas. And so the concepts that we cover are not necessarily new ideas, because I was speaking to a lot of you, and the awareness piece you already have. A lot of the concepts that we're covering you already have. The piece actually going to work in this is to actually integrate it and to have someone who's going to be that accountable person for you. So great, I love that you're all coming out with that. So the accountability, the keep you on track, what else? There's someone who's trying to talk, but I can't hear them. Yeah, that's a really bad line. Would you be able to email me with that? Or can't, yeah. All right. And else? This technical, it's been quite interesting. Thanks everyone for your patience around it. We'll need to get better connection. Oh, shall we?
John and I said we were just talking about we could work together in the same office, so
Great
for us.
Thank you. That's brilliant, Margaret. Thanks. Anything else? Okay. So the last bit that I'd like to cover is mindful performance breaks. So here's take a moment to enhance your mental performance. So what happens if you find that you're not taking breaks? Where are you in that space? And what does a break mean for you? So how do you take breaks at present?
I do as close as possible to an hour a day.
An hour a day, great. And when you have that lunch, what are you doing? Are you working and having lunch at the same time?
Hell no.
Great. So you're really taking that time out just for you.
Yep, definitely.
Okay. Are there, as well as that hour for lunch, is there small breaks that you take? Without thinking about it, perhaps you take some breathing breaks. You take some just to walk down the corridor, or and reflection. Great. Okay. So just noting the breaks that you're taking at the moment, and are they, say, breaks like playing a game on your phone, or are they reading the news, or are they actual taking time out and reflecting? So active breaks, or are you taking that time? If there's just a little bit of noise in the background again, would you mind just putting yourselves on mute again, if that's okay? Thank you. We looked at the matrix before and breaks and mental performance. So if we took regular breaks, we would move into the quadrant of the more mindful quadrant. And the not taking breaks often depletes us. So at the end of the day, we're feeling quite exhausted. Our energy's been quite high. So that example of holding that pen, it's like that pen, you haven't let go of that pen at all, And so noticing how you feel by the end of the day versus if you were just to hold the pen quite tightly, take a little break and then hold it again, what would happen to your energy level? Two modes of operating, conceptual and perceptual. So that thinking, so noticing in the diagram how the different areas are lit up, and then the perceptual, which is the stopping, the senses, the engaging with what is here and now, just noticing that, how that changes in your MRI scan as well. So, if you were to relax now, what is it that you choose to do? And it'd be healthy modes of relaxing. Just a sign you do to relax. What do? John, I can't hear you that well. I can hear Margaret really well, but I can't hear you that well.
John says he likes to lay on the lounge in his office.
Right, lounge. Great, I love it. What about when you're at home?
I'm a lounge lizard as well with the TV on.
Okay, great. And are the takers of what they do when they relax?
Sleep.
Sleep, yeah. All right.
Baking.
Yeah, baking. What else? Reading, drinking a glass of wine. All these things have in common.
Does not work.
Yes, anything that's not work related. What else are you doing? Relaxing, you're engaging in so is the lounge, sleeping, baking, gardening, all activities, perceptual activities. So a lot of them are real engages in your senses. So you switched on perhaps at the end of the day, you're like, great, at the end of the day when I get home, I'll finally have that glass of wine. I'll finally get to sit on the couch. I'll finally get to do that. What I'm suggesting is that perhaps we start bringing in a little bit of those books in a different, in a mindful way. So, Margaret, would you be able to put it on mute again? I think it's that can clear. Thank you. That's better. Okay. A mindful break would look a little bit like, to improve energy, focus, and effectiveness, the 3ABCD model. So, taking a moment, closing your eyes, and noticing the way that you're breathing in and out. Just moving out and taking 3 deeper breaths in. Breathing in, out, 1. Breathe in and out, 2. Breathe in and out, 3. And then eyes. How was that short exercise? How did it get to the longer one? Done.
Sheer fact of making yourself stop and take that deeper breath sort of made me really refocus down on it.
Yeah.
But it was with a lot happening here, we just had to come through. There's parts through the front that we can see. And, yeah, it's just good to reset.
Yeah. That was in the longer piece that we did.
Yeah, storm, wearing rain and stuff in the longer piece.
Lightning and
Great. Yeah.
distraction.
So that was a big distraction, or was that actually quite part of the practice where you were focusing on that? or distraction?
Distraction, but it was a clear blackout here. I was able to sort of refocus on the field work and then went back to that. But in the process, I annoyed
Okay. Anyone else want to comment on the longer practice? Was it the first time that you've done anything that long? Just want to share? Lex, did you want to tell me how it was?
It moved back into the long experience. So the short experience took me straight back to the long experience, so I got there quicker. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense, and that's exactly what we're doing in the training as well. So if we're making this a regular practice, we get familiar with how to drop in quite quickly. So when you're doing the shorter experiences, it means that you're dropping in very quickly. So you trained beautifully. Thanks for sharing that. Anyone?
It went really quickly. Like it didn't. Yeah, it sort of felt like just as you're getting into it, it was already over.
Yeah, that's great. Have you done a practice this long before?
And then I've downloaded the app and done that a couple of times. So.
Great. Okay.
Yep.
So you have been doing the practice. Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you. And what happened? What did you do with your distractions?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. When you got distracted, what did you do?
In the longer session, I didn't find I got distracted for the first part, which was interesting. But
Yeah.
the part, like obviously I'm in the office, so it's noisy and I can hear people walking around and walking past, and really conscious that they might walk past and I'm sitting in the office with my eyes shut.
Yeah.
But I just was aware of them, I suppose, but not until the end part. So that was interesting for me.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Or if you're talking to me or the other Lisa.
Okay, Harrison.
So keep delaying. Okay. Yeah, look, I have practiced visualizations before. They're a bit different because they tend to occupy your mind, so you don't have as many distractions because you're following a storyline or a concept of, a thought. So the long sessions of just the A, B, C, D, done the 3 now, one from the app and this day, and the one at the first session. And it is different. It's harder to not get distracted than when you're on a guided visualization tape. So I found that experience really good in realising just how often my brain. I like the idea of the counting and focusing on the breath to bring yourself back and just let the other go.
Yeah.
So it's going to take some practice to realise how much my brain did it.
Yeah. And remember the stats that we had about 46.9% of the time we're actually not present? Generation. Really interesting to notice that and even begin to create more awareness around your own mind and how often we are getting distracted. So the more awareness we create, the more we'll notice that as well. So that's brilliant. And then being really gentle with ourselves in going, okay, we just got distracted, let's come back to it again. But what might happen is, here we go, I told you not to get distracted, let's focus on it. And being quite hard with yourself. So bringing that gentleness piece is really quite vital as well. Really just missing that. Great, thank you. Or Ian, there's a few people that haven't just shared how they're feeling and how that went for them, if anyone else wants to.
One's a lot easier for me than the long one.
Yeah. So really beginning to integrate those short pieces as well. The long one is 10 minutes. And 10 minutes is a long time for people who have not done a practice before at all. So beginning with create momentum, so 10 minutes every day. It doesn't seem like a lot. It's 0.2% of your day if you were to look at it like that. But keeping commitment is where your body comes in as well, and just creating that bit of momentum. The practice it, the more it will start integrating into our day-to-day, the more we'll be able to sit. So this is where the patience comes in as well. So you're being patiently observing, not reacting. So the more we practice that, the stronger the neural pathways come in that space, and therefore we'll begin to replicate that in the external world, and it will be a lot more of an automatic behaviour. Anything on that? So grading those short pieces as well. How has everybody gone with the app?
So I couldn't download it. This is Carmen.
Yep. You reached out to me on an email, didn't you, just before we started? Yeah. It's great. Thank you. And I'll go through that with you. I'll stay back at the end and we can go through that quickly. Is somebody in the same office or near Carmen, or?
Is with me. I'll try to download it for her as well.
Okay, great.
And
Great.
The bodies.
Yep. Kay, you were writing to me and said that you're having trouble as well. So I'll to you on the phone after this as well, if you're okay with that, and we can go through it. Okay. So what to do with the app? I'll show you what it looks like. If you're in front of you, just open that for a moment. Go into practice and see number 2, which is, if not, I'll training relaxation. So it's number 2. So just to practice that this week, we talked about relaxing and that part of the first step. So we're relaxing our body, and therefore our mind follows through as well with the relaxing piece. All right. Any other questions or ideas or comments? Right. So daily training, where would you envisage doing it? So be at the beginning of the day? Would it be at the end, just before you go to sleep? Would it be at lunchtime? Perhaps a group of you might organise a lunchtime session. How often? The suggested is 10 minutes a day, but what is it for you, realistically? So key to this is choosing something that's realistic and that you can incorporate. Because with this, we've got the patience concept, we've also got mindful breaks, and we've also got the practice as well. So I don't want you to approach this as, this is just too much to do, but being really curious and interested and integrating as much as you think is realistic for you as well. Mindfulness track 2. Notice when you try multitask and practice the 2 rules instead. What are the 2 rules?
Focus on what you choose and choose your distractions mindfully.
Yes, great. Thank you. And schedule your own mindful breaks. Can I have 4 ideas of mindful breaks that they're going to do throughout the day? So creative ideas that you've done, but you thought, actually, I could.
What I've been doing in the last week, I would say, well, it's been a week, mindfulness eating, just trying to eat in the kitchen area and just take my time, no distractions, no phone, nothing. Just slowly trying, to...
Carmen?
No.
Okay. any way that you can speak it louder? Because it's fast, but
I need to come closer, probably.
that's better. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone else?
Really in a chair. So I've been practicing in the last week mindfulness. Mindful eating.
Yeah.
Actually, eating properly, taking the time, with no distractions, no phone, no books, no papers, nothing.
How does that been?
Oh, it's been quite, because, sometimes I tend to eat in front of the computer while I'm, replying to an email or something.
Yeah.
So I said no more. And I think it's been difficult the first couple of days.
Yep.
But now I'm starting to quite enjoy it.
Yeah. Great.
Putting the plants in the kitchen. Yeah. Even the food tastes really.
Yeah.
Actually take the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knowing that down. Great. Thank you for that, Carmen. All right. Anyone else? Regard to some breaks?
This is if I head outside and pick up rubbish. I know it kind of sounds silly. There's always stuff that's dropped outside our centre. So for me, it just helps go and walk around, but you kind of do it slowly and just not really worried about it too much.
Yeah, great. And you touched on another point that I really love, in that when I talk about these people, yeah, but I don't have the right environment. It's not quiet. I don't have, the right music, or I don't have the right day, or so forth. And the point I try to make is you can actually do it on anything. You can focus and create that relaxation on anything. And it could be, I say, rubbish. And so I felt a little when you said that you just go out and pick up the rubbish, because I agree. It doesn't matter what it is. It's about engaging in the senses, moving from conceptual to perceptual, really engaging in that, fully engaging in that, which is, so thanks for sharing that. A lot of rubbish out in your area. So.
It's great.
Yeah. Okay. So wrapping that up, what is we went through observation, tasking, the 2 rules, the tricks, which you'll get in the mail as well. So you should receive the pack by the end of this week, if not early next week. In that pack, you'll have the matrix, also have a patience card. And the patience card, if you could just stick it somewhere, so you could stick it to your computer, you could stick it to your bed, but it's just of checking in and a reminder, and it also has a little bit of a blurb behind it. You'll find that there's cards that relate to every program that we do. So you'll just pick them up for the week, and that'll be your reminder for the week to practice them. The patience one is a really great one to start with, because patience is actually, moves into so many areas of our work. Our leadership style is really impacted as well by our patience around it for ourselves. Our patience in, how we actually are to ourselves, or we are to the external world as well, and those interactions. Is there anything else before I finish off? Would you be able to just get a bit closer to the microphone again? We can't hear you.
I'm having problems with my computer. The sound is...
Okay.
If I want to do this at lunch break with my team,
Yep.
so what should I do? 10 minutes?
Yes. The 2 on the app.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep. So number 2 on the app. Great. Thank you. Yeah. And let's do it at lunchtime with your team. Anything else? So I'll stay it was Kathy that doesn't have the app. There was we'll just phone after this because that way I can hear you better as well. We might just I'll give you a call and we'll do a conference call, the three of us, through that app as well. So everybody else, have a great evening and thank you for joining. I hope you're glad of today's session, but again, the integration piece. So practicing art of patience, relaxation, and that multitasking. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.